안녕하십니까 여러분. 네, 지금 시간은 11시 20분이고 저는 늘 저녁 한 10시나 12시 그 사이에 운동을 시작하는 것 같습니다. 제 일상 루틴이고요. 저녁에 제가 운동하는 모습을 좀 담아보도록 하겠습니다. 바로 가시죠. 지금 밥 먹고 일단은 저는 처음에는 뭘 건드냐, 바로 등 먼저 하죠. 등. 일단 몸을 근데 지금 여기 와서 하나도 빠짐없이 지금 전신 운동을 하고 있어가지고 지금은 이제 힘이 없을 거예요. 그래서 오늘 운동 마무리로 하고 하루 이틀 정도는 쉬어줄 생각입니다.
Everyone said he had it all. The fame, the fans, the billion-dollar machine behind him. But at 11:20 p.m., alone in a gym, filming himself work out to the same song on repeat, you have to ask, what does having it all actually cost? This isn't a story about a pop star staying fit. This is a story about what happens when the world's most watched young man has nowhere left to go but a late-night gym session, talking to a camera because there's nobody else in the room. And HYBE? They'd rather you focus on the concert dates. Jung Kook, the youngest member of BTS, the golden maknae, the boy who was scouted at 15, signed to Big Hit Entertainment, and then handed over to one of the most powerful entertainment conglomerates on the planet. By his mid-20s, he had broken solo streaming records, headlined stadiums, and become the face of campaigns worth hundreds of millions. He was everywhere, on billboards, on your phone, on the cover of magazines in 12 different languages. But here's what the press releases don't cover. Here's what the curated photo shoots and the carefully managed interviews never show you. A young man, late at night, working out alone. No stylist, no manager hovering nearby, no perfectly lit promotional backdrop. Just a phone propped against equipment in a gym, and a guy going through the motions of a routine he built for himself. Because the routine is one of the only things that's actually his. He mentions it himself. He works out around 10 or 12 at night. That's when he starts. That's his window. Not because he prefers the late hours for performance reasons, but because that window, that quiet, empty stretch after midnight, is when the schedule finally releases him.
Think about what that actually means. Every hour before that moment belongs to someone else, to HYBE's calendar, to content obligations, to promotional requirements, to a system so precisely engineered that one of the most famous humans alive has to wait until the world goes to sleep before he can do something as simple as lift weights in peace. And there's something else buried in this footage that most people scrolled right past. He says, casually, almost to himself, that ever since he got there, he's been doing full-body workouts every single day. Every day. No split routines, no programmed rest cycles, just the same punishing full-body circuit day after day, because the schedule doesn't allow for the kind of periodized recovery that any serious trainer would tell you is non-negotiable. He even acknowledges it. He says he's probably lost strength. He says he needs to take a day or two off. He knows. He knows his body is running on fumes. And he keeps going anyway, because stopping isn't really an option when you're Jung Kook of BTS. Now, here's the detail that quietly breaks the whole image open. He works out to Illit's Magnetic, on repeat. Illit, a HYBE group, a group signed to the same label, a group whose rise has been directly tied to the BTS blueprint, the BTS fanbase pipeline, the BTS machine. And Jung Kook is in a late-night gym, alone, listening to his label's newest product. Is it genuine love for the music? Probably. He's mentioned the song before. But the optics of it, the ecosystem closing in on itself, the label's output becoming the soundtrack to its biggest star's private moments, that's worth sitting with. Because HYBE doesn't just own the schedule, they own the culture around the schedule too.
그리고 저는 항상 운동을 할 때 아일릿의 마그네틱과 함께합니다. 많이 못해요. 몸이 무거워져서. 근데 풀업을 또 안 하면 안 돼서 풀업은 무조건 해줘야 됩니다. 그리고 최대한 정자세로 하려고 해야 돼요.
He talks about his workout philosophy like someone who has had to defend his choices before. He explains his form. He explains why he doesn't push too hard. He explains his rest intervals. There's a self-consciousness to it, a quiet awareness that everything he does is being watched, evaluated, and interpreted. Even a personal gym session becomes content. Even recovery becomes performance.
너무 높구만. 이건 또 몸을 만들고 있기 때문에. 무거운데? 그리고요.
He catches himself mid-thought and course corrects.
아니다. 2분 안 쉬어도 된다. 지금 이거 신경 안 써도 되겠다. 그리고 딥스 이게 지금 딥스 그건 아닌데 딥스를 마땅히 할 공간이 없어가지고 잡고 너무 무리 안 합니다.
He says he doesn't need to rest for 2 minutes. Then he stops, recalibrates, moves on. Small moment. Massive window into what sustained hypervisibility does to a person's internal dialogue. You stop trusting your own instincts. You start narrating your choices out loud, justifying them, preemptively defending them. Because years of public scrutiny have rewired the way you think about even the most private decisions. The PR version of Jung Kook is polished, powerful, and perpetually on brand. The version in this gym footage is something far more uncomfortable for HYBE to reckon with. It's a person, an actual person, with fatigue in his arms and a phone propped on a machine, trying to maintain some fragment of a normal life inside a structure that was never designed to accommodate one. He says it himself near the end. He thinks everyone has a workout style that suits their own body.
이렇게 해서 한 세트. 이거를 이제 한 번 했잖아요. 요거를 그냥 2번 아니면 3번. 3번 내지로 하는 것 같아요. 이렇게 2분 정도 쉬다가 또 다시 들어가는 거. 사람도 그 본인 몸에 맞는 그 운동법이 있는 것 같아요. 그래서 저는 제가 생각했을 때 좀 전신을 굴려주는 게 좋지 않나 그런 생각을 해도. 이렇게 운동 열심히 하고 있습니다. 그럼 저희 2세트 다 하고 더 하고 들어갈 거고요. 네.
Working out his whole body is what works for him. A simple statement, but underneath it is something heavier. A quiet insistence on ownership, on knowing himself, on maintaining at least one domain, 1 hour in one gym at midnight, where the decisions are entirely his own. That's the tell. When the most famous person in the world has to carve out a midnight gym session just to feel like himself, what does that say about the machine that owns his days? And here's what HYBE won't address publicly. What happens when the golden maknae ages out of the system? The solo deals are lucrative, the brand partnerships are global, but the structure that built Jung Kook was never designed to sustain him as an individual. It was designed to sustain BTS as an asset. Those are not the same thing, and the gap between them is widening. There are contracts still under seal. There are restructuring conversations that insiders say have been ongoing for over a year. There are whispers about the next phase. What Jung Kook looks like post-military, post-group obligations, in a landscape where HYBE needs him to remain a star while also building the next generation of stars to replace what BTS was. The footage from this gym doesn't prove any of that, but it rhymes with all of it.
What you're watching isn't just a workout video, it's a document. A quiet, unguarded record of what it looks like when someone extraordinary is also undeniably exhausted. Nobody is coming to rescue him. Nobody is blowing the whistle. The money is too big. The machinery is too large. And the fans, as devoted as they are also part of the system. The clicks feed the algorithm. The algorithm feeds the label. The label feeds the schedule. And the schedule brings us back to midnight and a gym and a young man lifting weights alone. So here's the question nobody in the industry wants to answer. At what point does devotion to a fan base become indistinguishable from obligation to a corporation? And does Jung Kook even know which one he's performing for anymore? Subscribe to Snap Craze Hub, because the stories they don't want told, that's exactly where we start.